Well, hello friends and fans everywhere. Once again, it is your fitness captain, Jason, speaking here. How's everybody feeling? I hope you guys have a unique and startling day today, as I like to say. It's a gorgeous day here in Hamilton, Ontario, wonderful Canada. But I wanted to address something, unfortunately, quite negative and very serious, and that is we had a stupid street gang on Locke Street that apparently did a lot of damage to stores all over Locke Street. Now, I went out for breakfast today, and I saw some of the remnants of the damage. They've got the windows, thankfully, with boxes over on these stores. So I feel bad for the store owners and the clientele that are going in these stores, obviously. But I saw Naroma Pizza. Apparently, they had a window looks like shattered. The ice cream store beside it. And I saw CHCH News, actually. They came over and were interviewing people. Unfortunately, by the time I came across the street, the camera guy had put his camera away. And I wanted to, tell him that I would have been a vigilante and taken care of these assholes, because they need to get a life, this street gang. They need to start exercising, okay? Instead of doing damage and affecting other people, other people's lives. We don't want to go to restaurants and know that these stores have been damaged. And, it's just, it's crazy, this vandalism. What do they call themselves, a street gang? Somebody told me the name, what is it, ungovernable they call themselves or something? Grow up, guys, grow up, okay? I'm not saying these guys are all evil necessarily, that's a strong word, but they certainly seem very immature, and they made a piss-poor decision causing damage on Locke Street. Lucky I wasn't around, or I might have had to go UFC on their ass. Excuse my language, you know what I'm saying? Anyway. But anyway, also I want to talk on other videos, friends and fans. I'm going to put more videos out on a very important subject. It's a very exasperatingly complex, multifaceted, astounding subject, I always say, with a lot of moving parts. And you know what it is? It's largely the UFO phenomenon. Yes, with the military, industrial complex, and intelligence agencies that are controlling this all-important subject. And they try to push out this narrative with disinformation, lies. We've been lied 5 ways to Sunday, friends and fans. And quickly, I'll just tell you, we really need transparency in our lives these days. It's critical because, with mainstream media, they're controlled by their corporate media. I mean, corporate media, that's why we don't get the truth, friends and fans. And speaking of that, we've been deliberately obfuscated from the truth. As I've said in other videos, for 70 plus years, for example, on the amazing free energy, whatever these UFOs are relying on, and we have many other exotic spacecrafts out there too. Obviously we know we have great jet planes and we have some nuclear and fusion reactors and all this stuff. But whatever free energy the UFOs are relying on, it certainly isn't rockets, is it? No, obviously not. So it's some sort of anti-gravity, amazing torsion physics. And when you do the historical research, as I've said in my other videos, friends and fans, I've talked briefly about the project in Germany in the 1930s called the Glock, which stands for the bell. That's when the Germans were working on anti-gravity. I'll do a whole video on this another time, friends and fans. But by the 1940s, they were putting out UFO fleets. It started in Antarctica. I talked about on my other videos when we had infamous Operation High Jump going to Antarctica with Admiral Byrd. He sponsored the expedition. His troops were attacked, and I believe it was the Germans. They were attacked, as Admiral Byrd said, by an enemy, and he didn't specify who it was. But the Germans had their militarized under-cavern bases built by then, okay, fully functional, and the UFOs, whistleblowers, came out and said, they came out from underneath the ice. They fired lasers upon the soldiers. I know this is hard to believe, but when you do the factual checking, this is what happened, friends and fans. And we know for sure, not just from whistleblowers, but from Admiral Byrd himself, when he was interviewed by that Chilean newspaper, the Chilean reporter, the newspaper was called the El Mercurio Santiago, he said they were attacked by an enemy. And he also said they could fly from pole to pole at extreme speeds, which says a lot, because back then you needed conventional aircraft, you had to refuel. Now I'm talking very quickly, friends and fans, because I don't have a lot of time, all right? But again, you know, I'm going to put out videos talking about, you know, our commercialization in space. It's more the privatization of space and what's going on in the military space activities. I'm going to talk about our massive secret space program that we've had put in place for decades, friends and fans. And again, talking about the different military activities in space, including the 237B space plane, which orbited 700 days above the Earth's orbit. We didn't know about it until we heard the sonic boom. I mean, this is incredible stuff. So, and, you know, speaking about commercialization of space, you know, and spy satellites, we have the likes of, as we all know, SpaceX with Elon Musk. We got Robert Bigelow, who's got Bigelow Aerospace. Robert Bigelow's been around for a long time. He's about 60 years old now. Both of these guys I described, they're like CIA assets. They're definitely intertwined with the military and the military intelligence agencies. I mean, who else gets a $500 million loan from the government to continue with their businesses? Elon Musk was going bankrupt. This isn't talked about much, but he got a $500 million loan. I mean, come on. He's obviously working with the government. He's an interesting guy. He's a pretty brilliant guy. I give him that. But there's a lot he's not telling the public, and we should have access to this information, again, on some of these technologies. Again, even the likes of Elon Musk, there's a lot he won't know about, but he does know at the same time quite a bit that we don't know. And a lot of these billionaires, friends and fans, if you do the research, you realize, yes, a lot of billionaires are trying to get off world. They're also building bunkers. Now I just learned actually this morning, somebody told me, Tom Cruise, with his Scientology and his group, he's, I think he's at the forefront now. He's got a bunker that he's paid for, that he'll be going into a bunker in case, you know, when something happens down the road, whether it be a meteor or a catastrophe. Now, I'm not sure if these billionaires, they may know something's going down the pipeline, a major catastrophe that's about to happen. I'm not sure. But, you know, it's, I guess if I had the money too, it'd be nice to take that precaution, you know, to have that bunker or to go off world. So that's why I'm making a challenge to you military folks out there and the elitists out there, because I'm a military man too. I'm all about strength and masculinity, and I'm all about trying to get our sovereignty and our power back as a society. Oh, back to the space again, though, friends and fans. I meant to say, you know, with the likes of, again, SpaceX, Robert Bigelow, and these other space companies, you know, they're taking public money. This is what drives me crazy. They're about privatizing space and the military in space. They often take public money. And nowadays, we're talking trillions and trillions of dollars. Okay, first of all, again, Elon Musk, Robert Bigelow, they're privatizing space. They're launching their spy satellites. So we're watching a trend from, you know, a transformation from a public government to a private government. We're watching the assets shift from, you know, the public sphere of government to the private sphere of corporations. That's right. And guess what? That's the Nazi, the German playbook. They were all about transnational corporatism and corporate power, right? They wanted even, you know, back then in the 1930s, whatever, they, unlike the communists, they didn't want the government to own public land. They wanted corporations to own private property. And they certainly, you could see it in the world today, folks, about with corporate power and contractors. They largely control our world. The corporations have way too much power. I forget if it was the Fifth Amendment or the Fourth Amendment in the U.S., where one of the amendments should have been changed a long time ago, or should never even been put into place, because it really gave corporations, in the end, way too much power. And the Germans started this. So, speaking the German, the Nazis, folks, I'm going to eventually put out a video, I hope, to talk more about the Nazi International and what's going on. And a great author and researcher who delves a lot into both the Germans and the Nazis and how they played a major role in the national security state with their dealings with the U.S. The U.S. made a lot of devil dealings with the Nazis, and we know this now if you do the research again. but I'm going to make a whole video on the Nazis and how we gave them high positions in NASA. You know, there was a lot of brilliant Nazi scientists, obviously, that worked on the project like the Bell. They had amazing technologies they were working on back then. We all know they were way ahead of Russia, US, Canada, and, you know, we gave them great positions here and great lifestyles when we brought them to the US under Operation Paperclip in 1947, right? And then we had Truman create the national security state, creating all the alphabet organizations that we see to this day, the NSA, FBI, you know, CIA, etc. And that's when all the secrecy, therefore, was being able to be created. And a lot of wealth. Don't forget, friends and fans, the US got a lot of that loot from Japan. They got a lot of the German wealth as well. The Nazis always had their secret system of finance put into place. And again, they conglomerated with the US. There's this massive financial system of basically, this financial system that's totally off the books, friends and fans. And we've got fraud on an industrial scale, okay? Again, I'll give you an example. Catherine Austin Fitts. I've said on other videos, friends and fans, I'll say it again. She's a brilliant accountant. She worked in the Bush administration. She now has, she's retired, but she has a report called the Salary Report. And like me, she's trying to get the research facts out there and stories that mainstream media doesn't want to cover. Same with Joseph P. Farrell. But anyway, Catherine Austin Fitts, so she said she's been trying to track the trillions of dollars that go missing every year, friends and fans, her and her friends. And she figured from 1998 alone, we had over $21 trillion missing. Yes, I repeat, 21 trillion. Just totally off the books, not audited. I hope my friend Joe Mann's listening to me right now because he's a brilliant accountant as well. And my friend Joe Mann, several months ago when I first brought up, the secret space program, he said, well, how can we have a secret space program? We don't have the money. Well, Joe Mann, I hope now that you've listened enough to my videos, you know there's a massive, massive secret financial system that was put into place decades ago. Trillions of dollars go missing every year. It largely goes towards the military activities in space, the term secret space program, and it goes towards our underground bases, our under-ocean bases. My friend and great author, Joseph P. Farrell, he agreed with me when I was on a live chat feed with him and others. I even asked Joseph, do you agree that many of these trillions of dollars are going not only to a secret space program, but to the underground bases and under-ocean bases? Because you need a lot of money for that. And he agreed. So, again, 1998, over 21 trillion missing. And remember Rumsfeld, the day before 9/11, what did he say, friends and fans? A lot of people, they don't discuss this on mainstream media hardly at all. Even Rumsfeld said 2.3 or 2.7 trillion was missing the day before 9/11. 2.7 trillion were missing. A lot of people think it was more like 7 or 8 trillion now, I think we have found out. And that's just one department in the Pentagon. Just imagine all the other departments, let alone countries like Australia, where they got their secret bases and they got departments where trillions of dollars go missing too, and other countries. So again, this is trans-international, friends and fans. America, China are involved in other countries, and they're involved in having off-world civilizations going to the moon and Mars. It's happening, friends and fans. We're mining the moon. Anybody can go to YouTube channels, as I've told you. You can see what looks like radar antennas, other glass structures sticking outside of on the back side of the moon. I mean, I could go on and on. We've got literally, I just learned this recently, friends and fans, an amazing researcher named Billy Thompson, who has his own space company. Him and his researchers have found out they've tracked over 50,000 anomalies in space. Now, I learned recently from Billy Carson, he learned that on tape, there is literally on tape from NASA astronauts. One astronaut said they had seen fluorescent lights on the backside of the moon or on the moon. Another astronaut, it was either Buzz Aldrin or another astronaut, literally said in these words, I think the words were something to the effect of, "Oh, I bet they can't get out of that dome." literally said dome, and they can't get out of the dome, as if he was speaking about, he could have been speaking about an ancient civilization that were already up on the moon. Now, I'm not talking aliens. It would have been human beings, I'm sure, but what an amazing statement. And this is on a NASA tape, but again, mainstream media, they don't keep talking about it. They just drop it. But that anybody can find those transcripts out. So there's a lot going on, friends and fans, that we're not privy to normally or ever. And I'm just trying to bring out the truth. I'm trying to bring out my research, facts again, and stories as well, again, that mainstream media doesn't want to talk about. And as I've said in my other video, friends and fans, in other words, I want you guys, my friends and fans, to join me in a community to talk about these all-important topics and this all-important subject and be passionate about it, okay? Because we can make a difference, you know? Let's not let the nefarious military groups and or intelligence agencies destroy our sovereignty and power any more than they already have. Because I always say the depth and breadth of the corruption with these people is just incredible. It's breathtaking. And it's not right. We deserve access to these amazing free energies, for example, friends and fans, because we shouldn't have to depend on oil and gas, stinky oil and gas anymore. We certainly shouldn't be depending on, you know, just utilizing rockets. Rockets aren't going to get you to the stars. It's a joke. It's dinosaur technology. The amazing researcher Billy Carson will tell you that. And he says the same thing. I believe the same thing as Billy Carson, that I feel like I'm a galactic agent as well to try to get the truth out for humanity. Okay? I know it's a strong statement, but I'm doing the very best I can. Okay? And if you guys want to feel like you're galactic agents as well and try to make a difference with humanity and try to find out what's really going on in our world and try to get at the truth, then join me in this community, friends and fans, and do your research. I hope you find research enticing, invigorating as well, because it really is. You know, the truth, like they say, truth is power, okay? So, you know, I can understand too, again, I always say, I can understand the military and the shadow government. They should have some things in secret. I understand that. Even some of the continuity of government installations, we shouldn't know all about it. But they would agree with me, I'm sure, and they would agree with you if you talk one-on-one with them, there's way too much secrecy. They've gone out of control. There's a lot we should know about. And again, you know, you get companies like To the Stars Academy, right? With the burned out rock star Tom DeLonge. He's got a pretty big ego. He's a nice guy, don't get me wrong, but we've got Tom DeLonge now. This guy gets allowed in the inner sanctums, as he admits, of Lockheed Martin, gets to talk with important people, some really elitists at Lockheed Martin, which is the biggest defense contractor in the U.S. I've talked about that company before in other videos. And he now he gets to be with this company with the likes of Luis Elizondo, who I just did a video the other day of, who's the front man for this company. And they've got a scientist that works for Lockheed Martin. They got some other cronies that work for the CIA as well. It's a total CIA operation, pushing and marketing around the whole operation of the academy. And guess what? It's so unusual. Guess what? They try to, half the time they're talking about raising money for stock options because they're trying to raise money. They admit they're trying to raise money. They might as well say for naive people, right? Anyway, they're trying to raise money for stock options, and then they want you to buy shares in their stock in their company with a credit card. Even there's tons of states in the U.S. that totally disagree with that. You're not supposed to be able to do that. So it's a total scam. And, you know, Tom DeLonge and his people, they say they're going to build a spacecraft in the years to come, some electromagnetic craft or something. I mean, what a joke. Lockheed Martin, you're never going to be able to build these amazing exotic spacecraft of the likes of what Lockheed Martin has, especially the UFOs, because it requires billions of dollars. Now, they've raised about 2 or 3 million from naive people. They'd love to raise billions of dollars. I don't think that's going to happen. But nevertheless, I mean, any money they raise, we don't know where it's going. It's probably going towards the military. And my point is, friends and fans, I think the people in this company and the way the company is created, part entertainment, part science, as Tom DeLonge describes, I think you get the likes of this company and these people involved. You know why? Because it's like a sanitized soft disclosure, right? They're not coming out and telling you what the military really has. So we get these drifts and drabs of sort of half-truths about what's really going on. And the reason why this company's created, friends and fans, and why you get ex-CIA guys and intelligence agents like Luis Elizondo, who doesn't admit that it's all military UFOs. That's the term that needs to be used describing these UFOs, by the way. I always say it's military UFOs, and I'm going to keep repeating that. We really do need a whole new revision on the way we speak about UFOs, because there'll never be a maturation process in describing this topic if we don't use the term military UFOs. Because UFOs just means unidentified flying objects. Well, sure, they may be unidentified, but who's piloting them? There shouldn't be confusion. It's not aliens, it's military. And you know, the military and the shadow government, they want nothing more than to convince the world and or millions of people, they want to convince us that some of them could be alien and that they're a threat. You know why? Because it helps give them plausible deniability in weaponizing space. That's why. And you know why I know that, friends and fans? And why you should know this? Because Werner von Braun, who we brought as part of Operation Paperclip with the hundreds of brilliant German scientists, we brought Werner von Braun to the United States. We gave him the high up position in NASA, in charge of Cape Canaveral, partly in charge. He was in charge of the rocket program. He was a brilliant scientist that invented the V2 rocket, right? Anyway, we brought him to the United States. And what did Werner von Braun say before he died? He told a woman named Carol Rosen. Carol Rosen is a woman of intellectual integrity and honesty. She started telling the world 10 or 15 years ago that Werner von Braun, before he died, he said the West were going to play 3 cards. They were going to mine the moon, which they're doing now. He said they were going to do like do a terrorism threat with Muslim terrorists and try to continue the Cold War. That's all happened, especially with the terrorism aspect. The third card was going to be, get this, they were going to fake an alien threat. Remember that, friends and fans. So whenever you hear the word aliens and that some of these UFOs could be aliens, even Luis Elizondo puts that hypothesis saying, well, we don't know who they are. We don't know who's piloting the UFOs. And he would even say, you know, if it is a foreign government, we better know because they're light years ahead of what we have. He claims that in our inventory, we don't have this technology. Well, Luis Elizondo, I've told you you're a nice guy, but you know that is a lie. That's a lie. We have it in our inventory, but it's very compartmentalized. And I know Luis Elizondo, he knows a lot about the technology. He certainly knows who's in charge of the UFOs because the Navy's in charge of it. Anybody who does research, you start to realize this. Their badge on their Navy Space Command, it says Navy Space Command or something on their badge as part of the Navy Space Fleet. The UFOs, because the reason the Navy's in charge and not the Air Force, normally you think it's the Air Force, the Navy's in charge because they're all about building fleet to fleet, right? Organization of craft. Where the Air Force is more about building separate system of jet planes and of spacecraft. That's what they're about. That's why the Navy's in charge. And that's why often you see UFOs coming out from the oceans. And they can be tracked on radar and on YouTube channels literally going into space. It's unbelievable. And an example of that in the Mariana Trench, in front, I think that's where Puerto Rico is, in front of Puerto Rico, the second deepest part of the ocean. A lot of researchers think, I'm sure it is, that the U.S. have under ocean bases there, okay, and all over the world, but especially there, and submarines are hidden there because it's a great way to hide. It's very, very deep. Well, that's where a lot of UFOs are seen literally by thousands of eyewitnesses almost on a daily basis, friends and fans. So again, just incredible technology. And I will talk more about our breakaway civilizations that are going off-world and have been for decades and decades. Okay? And again, I told you about the Saturn V, the amazing accomplishment, the astronauts going to the moon. But I also said That technology of those rockets was a window dressing for what they really had, which was anti-gravity back then. And again, it's not too far-fetched to know this. You know, it doesn't take much speculation because, look, I told you in 1947 about Admiral Byrd being attacked. Then in 1952, we had the famous UFO flap above Washington, D.C. Millions of people have seen the photograph now. 7 objects were tracked on radar, seen above Washington, D.C. We have the photograph. They obviously weren't rockets. They were relying on some sort of anti-gravity, amazing propulsion, high-pitch technologies, right? And apparently the UFO flap took place over, I think it was 2 weekends, going from Washington and other places in the U.S., zipping along. And this is the most secure airspace, so you're not supposed to be able to do that. But I believe common sense and critical thinking would tell you that's probably the Germans and or the U.S. together showing their amazing technology to the world, but they're not going to tell you what it is. And it was just 1952, so it's probably a rogue German military group that was doing that, okay? But, you know, since then, obviously, as I told you, we made a lot of devil dealings with the Nazis. We let them infiltrate sensitive military defense installations in the U.S. and be part of the national security state, largely control NASA. It just goes on, okay? Now, before I show you something, I just want to say as an example of the national security state, you know, and the Nazis' influence, here's an example. So we had Dornberger, last name is Dornberger, I forget his first name right now, but anyway, he was so high up as part of the Nazi military, he was in charge of the likes of Rudolf Hess and Werner von Braun, who I stated earlier, right? So he was in charge, Dornberger was in charge of the German Ordnance Office, in charge of the secret, weapons project, back in Germany, okay? So he was slated to go to war crimes trial, of course, for his role in slave labor in the slave labor camps, like many other German scientists. And what did we do? We brought him over as part of Operation Paperclip in 1947. And what did we do? We gave him a high-end position, the vice president position, no less, of Bell Helicopter. You talk about infiltrating sensitive military defense and intelligence establishment. I mean, just unbelievable. Bell Helicopter, vice president position. And this guy was basically an evil guy for what he did in Germany. I mean, give me a break. Jesus, just sick. Anyway, but that's what we did, and it's not talked about very much, friends and fans. And finally, I know I'm talking fast, and a lot of times I may look serious on my handsome masculine face, if I may say, but this is a serious subject. So, this magazine I showed you, friends and fans, I hope you watched my last video. I hope you go to my YouTube channel as well. Fitness Captain Esty, E-S-T-E-Y. That's Fitness Captain E-S-T-E-Y. Okay? Fitness Captain Esty. I also have a new YouTube channel at, it's called Informant Lockheed, as in Lockheed Martin. That's right. Informant Lockheed. L-O-C-K-E-E-D. It's a new YouTube channel I just set up. I've only got, I think, 1 video on there, but hopefully many more to come. So that's 2 YouTube channels, friends and fans. I'd love for you to give me some comments, maybe on some videos if you want. Ask me any questions. Again, I want to try to have you guys join me in a community, friends and fans, men and ladies out there, okay? In this all-important subject. I'm trying to stimulate your intellectual curiosity and your passion for fitness and for this important subject. Because I'm not just a fitness trainer. I'm not just a fitness captain, okay? I got a broad mind. I'm trying to get at the truth and try to make a difference in life. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to learn from my mistakes, as we all should, right? So here, again, I put this magazine out on a video showing you guys and friends and fans because I suggest you all buy this magazine or get it if you don't have it already somehow, because this is so applicable. This is why I bought it off the stands. Big Brother, you see a huge spy satellite and the space junk in the background. It says, in our surveillance society, satellites, cameras, and phones are tracking us more than we ever imagined. Read the article, read the cover, because it's as I say, it is so applicable. And this is why the military are so nervous, why they roll out a ridiculous company like To the Stars Academy with CIA guys. As I say, it's a CIA operation with, you know, this totally marketing scheme rolled out as a public benefit company. It's because they know they can't keep hiding the secret of these amazing free energies, let alone the military UFOs that are zipping along all over above Earth's orbit and in our solar system. They can't keep covering up. Nor do I don't think they can keep covering up the breakaway civilizations as well. You know, and we know the billionaires are trying to go to Mars off-world. Just like Elon Musk, he's going to bring, apparently, you know, individuals for $500,000 for a one-way trip to Mars, what, in the next 5 or 10 years, I think he's hoping for. And he's going to put his Tesla car orbiting around Mars. But the thing is, the guy's only talking about still using rockets. They can get to Mars in 6 months, friends, or under. The military can, with their amazing technologies. So anyway, again, with our surveillance society, with these spy satellites, they are nervous because they know they deliberately obfuscated the truth for over 70 years. And again, there's a lot of good military folks, friends and fans. I just asked some of these elitists that are in charge of these programs and these clandestine black projects, black programs, especially when it concerns UFOs, to tell us the truth. Tell us what you are using for these free energies. Because rockets, we shouldn't be using rockets. It destroys our ionosphere. And you know, we've been lied to for 70 plus years on this subject. That's far too long, okay? Now maybe the first 10 years or so, I can understand why you wouldn't want to come out with the truth to the public. But all this deception and lies, year after year, decade after decade, it's not right. It's not right, and it's downright evil. A lot of this disinformation. So they know they can't keep, they've got to, see, they're going to try to deceive and lie as long as they can, apparently. But they know that with more spy satellites out there, they're going to see what's going on. They're going to see all, just like Billy Carson's example. Him and his researchers have now found, as I said, over 50,000 objects, anomalous stuff flying around in space. It's incredible. And again, you know, NASA, they try to cover up and airbrush pictures from the backside of the moon. They can only do so much. And, you know, the fact that NASA, you know, is described as a civilian space agency, that's just a fable. Because if you do the background research, as I've said on another video, friends and fans, they were created as part of the Defense Intelligent Military Establishment, part of the Defense Network. I mean, the military, JPL, always did defense classified work. So, of course, they cover up for all parts of the military for the secret activities in space. They've done some good work, NASA, don't get me wrong, you know, with their missions to other planets and stuff like that. But, you know, I almost laugh facetiously because we got the Curiosity mission, of course. We've got, you know, the Curiosity, and we sent these other probes that are on Mars. Now the Curiosity mission's on.